Hello, welcome to the Internal Momentum podcast. Today I have a very exciting guest. I have Rosie Kriskans from Stylish Agency. She is actually my personal fashion stylist. So welcome to the podcast, Rosie.
Hello, Ben. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. It's an honor to be here. I'm very proud of you for launching this podcast. It's awesome. Great milestone.
Yeah, no, thanks. Now, obviously we know each other well and I've worked with you directly, but from your side, how would you describe what you actually do to people?
I am a personal stylist, which means in the physical sense, I go through people's wardrobes. I help them choose the right clothes for their body shape and style and color. And then after that, I would take my shopping. So essentially picking out a new wardrobe for their personality and getting rid of the clothes that aren't serving them. Underneath that, what I do, and I always say this to my clients, is that the clothes are the icing on the cake and it's what happens underneath. And it's giving them permission to show up and to be seen. So ultimately, I'm selling confidence. I think that's how I
Yeah.
would wrap up what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, well, my experience was definitely one of confidence on the back end. That was the byproduct of learning how to dress myself properly and feeling like I know what I'm doing and that I do look
Awesome.
good and having that confidence in how I feel in my own
Mm.
clothes. And there's something just being in the world, knowing you look good. It makes you feel great.
It's
When someone hires a stylist, it's not a sort of normal decision that most people make. So in your experience, what has usually happened internally for those people before they even get to that point?
Yeah, that's huge. And a lot of my clients have been through something major or they have done some self-development and they've realized that they need a change. A lot of my clients are new mums or mums that have been mums for a long time and their body shape has changed or they don't want to dress in that 90s lycra anymore. Or someone's going through a divorce or a separation, and it's often coming with either a health change, a lifestyle change, a circumstance, whether that is a relationship, and they want to change. They want to see themselves in a different light. They don't want to show up in the same way anymore, and they're taking a move to make themselves more confident. Clothes is one of those things that people know they need to do, but don't know how to do it. And that's where I come in and I can help them create their own style because everyone's different. And that's my job, to find out what is different about that particular person and really hone in on bringing that forward. So people would come to me, to get back to your question, mostly for a lifestyle change. Something has happened in their life.
Yeah, well, that was my situation as well. I come to a point where I was like, I've gone over 30 years, been through two marriages, and in each of those marriages, my wife picked my clothes, and I wore what she liked, and I was like, I don't care what I wear, you dress me, I just want to look good for you, and there was no agency whatsoever in it. I was basically being mothered by them, and I told myself that I genuinely didn't care what I wore, and I'd convinced myself of that, but I think underneath that was this feeling that I just had no confidence. I thought I would look silly or look stupid, or I almost convinced myself that it didn't matter, so that then, people who think that thing are just shallow or they're this way or that way. But now that I've actually learned those skills, I can see just how important it is in developing that confidence and being able to express yourself through clothing.
Mm.
Go ahead.
How has life changed for you since what areas have improved because of your style?
Look, there's a lot of areas that have changed. In particular, obviously in the dating and, relationship side of things. I actually did it when I was single, and I actually ended up getting back with my girlfriend, and we're now engaged, and yeah, life's great. And
Awesome.
it was amazing though, the confidence that came from that. And to your point earlier, a big catalyst for it was that relationship and things not going, and me realizing that I was essentially a adult toddler in some ways. I hadn't taken control of my own life, and I think being able to dress yourself confidently and having a sense of style and going out there, the attention you get from other people, obviously in a dating capacity, you've got people that are more attracted to you. You're just more interesting to other people. And I remember it was probably 2 weeks after we did our wardrobe edit. I actually went out and it was late and had a few drinks, and I was with this girl, and she was telling me, she goes, "Oh my God, like I love a guy who knows how to dress." Like it was
Yes.
so on the
Yeah.
nose, but it actually made me sort of giggle internally because I'm just like, oh my God, like if you only knew who I was 2 weeks ago, it was,
And I put up a post yesterday, and it was basically saying that people will see you before they hear you. So, how you show, especially in dating. So, imagine two guys wanting to pursue a female. They're exactly the same. They have the same skills, the same personality. They're super funny. They might even be really fit underneath, but one of them knows how to dress. I think if from my perspective, a woman's perspective, I am automatically going to go to that guy who knows how to dress, because instantly it shows self-respect, that he's showing up, that he's actually caring about what he looks like. And then that will reflect, that reflects in all the other areas in life. It's not just what I see. And a saying that I've been using a lot recently is, how you do anything is how you do everything. So how you show up is how you're going to show up in private. And it's just such a powerful few words to just think, how am I showing up right now? And how do I want people to see me? So yeah, in the dating world, I think looks is, well, not even so much about how you look in the face, but just being well groomed and being, cut your nails and shave your beard and, do your hair and maybe put on an outfit that actually fits you and looks good. And that is going to set you up for success. Well, a little bit more success. I'm not going to guarantee it, because I don't want to be sued for saying that, if you don't dress well, you'll get a date. But it is so important just to show that you have that self-love enough to care about what you look like. Yeah.
yeah. And other than in that sort of dating space, it had lots of other effects as well, because just in general relationships, the amount of people who commented on it, it'd be family members or friends are like, oh, wow, like you're looking good, you're looking like, and there's just this sort of transformative thing that happens when people start to see you differently. And
Yeah.
I feel like it really anchored me to this sort of new identity where I was putting myself first. I'd put these new boundaries in place. I was feeling really, really confident about this new lifestyle and these changes to who I was. And in a business capacity, it's the exact same thing as well. Showing up, you tend to find that people respect you more as well. And you don't like to admit it, but a lot of the times it is, you prefer to buy from people who are, look well put together. Like you said, that initial impression, it's like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. He's taking care of himself. And it definitely translated on the business side as well. So things have been great since we did it. Now, I can't definitively say it was because I got a new wardrobe that the business has doubled.
Yeah. But
And I think it
yeah.
is. It anchors, it's almost like a physical anchor to the internal shift. And it's something that you see in the mirror every single day. Like you get dressed every day. It's a new skill that you have every day that reminds you of this internal shift of, you know what? I'm going to shift from putting everyone else first to now actually
Yeah.
caring about myself and looking after myself
Yeah.
and showing up as the person I want to be.
Exactly. Every day you get the opportunity to show the world who you are by what you wear. Every day you have that choice, and you can show up in however way you want. And I feel like when it comes to the working sense, especially when you're going for a job interview or something, especially showing up, and studies and research have shown, for a female, you are more likely to get the job. This blew my mind, by wearing makeup, but actually putting a little bit of makeup on and making yourself look a little bit presentable. Same analogy as before, two people go in for the same job. One person's wearing makeup, or they're just put together a little bit more groomed. They're going to get the job, because that just shows how potentially they're going to do their work as well. So yeah, it's not just the externals, what happens on the inside as well.
Something like just
Yeah.
simply adding makeup can completely transform the way someone feels about themselves. And then who they are in the world is elevated as a result of that. And while
Yeah.
it's not necessarily something you want to do to cover things up, it's an advantage that gets you better opportunities, and it allows you to get out there and feel good and be confident. And I think for men, it's a little bit different because for us, the idea of, oh yeah, I'm going to wear clothes to feel good and to look good, it's not typically what we're taught. It's not what we go to by default. You know, it's men, you're supposed to be strong and tough and not care about that crap. And it's not something that I was naturally drawn to think, hey, I'm going to be someone who wants to go shopping and buy clothes for myself. So it really did take a
Well,
while to
that's
get to
why I've
that
got a
stage.
business. That's why I can make some money right now because a lot of guys are like you. Most men hate shopping, typically hate shopping. And that's why I come into play. And even when I was working in menswear or working in retail, mostly menswear, because this is where I'll get my statistic from, probably 70% would come in with someone because they have decision fatigue or they don't know what looks good. Or so I find that working with men is really quite simple and quite easy because they are open to anything. They're open to suggestion. And yeah, it was really interesting to see how, so when they saw a female serving them, they would feel more inclined to trust that person because, you know, I could be a mother, a girlfriend, a sister, or whatever. And from a female's perspective, telling them, you look great in this, and I have no business in telling you otherwise. Yeah, men in particular definitely hate shopping. Most men. My husband doesn't, but that's lucky for me. But yeah, most men do really despise shopping, where women love shopping. And then there's some women that don't like shopping. And again, that's where I come into play. And then most of the time, after we've been on our styling journey, they love shopping again. So, because they know what to look for, they know what fit works for them, their body shape, colors, and all that sort of stuff. So,
Yeah.
it's making a difference to how they show up in the future and the knowledge and the experience that they're getting.
Yeah. Well, that's how I feel now. While I don't want to go shop every day, like the idea of going shopping for clothes and sort of redoing the wardrobe every 6 months is actually kind of an exciting thing. You know, I look at the wardrobe and think, these are looking a bit tired now. It'd be good
Yeah.
to refresh it. Where before I would be like, well, what's wrong with them? I can get another 12 years out of them.
Yeah, men normally hold on to their stuff until you can
Yeah.
literally blow it away into dust and, you know,
Yeah.
I've seen some things.
I'm sure you have. Now, when someone says, you know, I don't know what looks good on me. I know that's how I felt. What are they actually saying underneath that, do you think?
They are holding on to a rule that they've had in their mind for since they can remember. So we all have our things. Everyone has something that they are insecure about, that they don't like how they look, whether it's, you know, a lot of women are conscious about their arms or their tummies or whatever. It is a perception that they've put on themselves, and it is my job to help them steer away from that perception, and instead of focusing on the bits that they don't like, emphasizing the bits that they do like. So I do something called a mirror strategy, and not everyone needs a mirror strategy. I mean, it's something that I learned when I studied at the Australian Style Institute, and it's basically helping someone look in the mirror and see where they're looking at different parts of their bodies. And this indicates where they're most conscious. And then I have a look because we all see different things. What I see is completely opposite to what they see. So what they might be telling me, I don't like how this looks, I don't like how that looks. And I look at them and I think, I did not even notice until you pointed it out. And now that I'm even looking at it, I still can't see, but it's something that they've focused on so much in their life that it's now a limiting belief that they've got that they can't move past it or nothing's going to work for it. Where just putting the right piece of clothing over the top of that, or wearing a piece of clothing at the right waist height or the right length or whatever it is, can completely eliminate that limiting belief and make them feel confident again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's because they've been raised like that. Maybe they're for me, my mum always used to call me fat, and I love her, don't get me wrong, but she always used to tell me that I was fat. So I have grown up very conscious about eating well, exercising, but a number of other reasons as well. But that's something that's stuck in my head. And then maybe people have been bullied for, you know, a big bum or big legs or whatever, being short, being tall, whatever it is. So then they have very conscious, self-conscious about how they're showing up. And that is one person or a few people's opinion compared to the rest of the world that wouldn't even look at that. So my job is to help them move out of that headspace and help them to see the things that do look good on them and help them to bring out the best features in their bodies.
Yeah. Well, I know for me, when I came to you, I had no idea what looked good on me. And it's almost like it reminds me of going back to primary school. There was like a song that I liked or something like that. And I remember talking to other kids and being like, oh, yeah, this song. And then they would say something like, oh, that song sucks. And then immediately I'm like, I have bad taste. And after
Mhm.
that, it's like I pretty much decided, oh, well, I don't have favorite songs. And
Mm.
I don't really, like, I had no confidence in my ability to be like, that's good or that's not. And it was the same with clothes. I think it was, I had no confidence that I would pick something that other people would think looks good. And it was really driven by this desire to have other people like me.
Validate.
And I think probably less about liking me, but more about the fear of somebody else saying that looks bad or that looks crap on you. That was so terrifying. And I needed to almost internally get to the point where if someone did say that, I could almost authentically say, well, I don't care about what I wear. So I don't care about your opinion. And
Yes.
I kind of feel like I did the same thing with music. Like I never had favorite bands really or favorite songs. I didn't get right into that because I was worried so much about what other people thought. And it's really sad looking back on it now, but yeah, it's been nice to get to a point now where it actually is I don't really give a crap what other people think,
Yeah.
but I can now actually figure out what looks good because, you know, make a decision on what I think looks good. Because
Yeah.
before I was so worried about, well, what do other people think? Do other people think it looks good? But I was never concerned about, do I think about, does it look good?
Mm.
But now I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, well, I can kind of tap into my internal, I guess, intuition and look at myself
Mm.
and think, does this look good? Yes or no? If I think it looks good, who really cares what other people think?
100%. I could not agree with you more. And this is what I tell my clients as well. So, when we're going through the wardrobe edit, and because I always, it's a journey for both of us. So it's never just me coming in going, right, we're going to get rid of everything and I'm going to tell you what to wear with this trend, this trend. That is not how I work. And that's generally, I'm going to say, how most stylists don't work. It is about finding the piece that work for you. And I always say to them, if there is a piece that you love, you look good in it. Even if I don't think so, it does not matter. You owning a piece of clothing is everything because you feel good in it. And you can tell. You can just tell when someone's showing up and they love that dress or that blazer or whatever it is that they're wearing because they hold themselves differently. They look different. They act different. They speak different because they know they look good in it. So I always say to them, who am I to tell you not to wear that? I am happy to guide you in a direction that is good for both of us or good for you, that you feel comfortable in. But it's true. When you feel good, you do not care about what anyone says. It's so powerful. Yeah.
I found that it's like with this jacket that I'm wearing right now. I remember us
Love it.
sitting there, we were in the change room and you sort of brought it over and you showed it to me. And my initial thoughts were, it's like,
Yeah.
that's not me, was the initial thought.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that, hey, I think that looks bad or that looks bad on people. It's that, oh, I'm Mr. Nice Guy Ben. I'm a bit conservative in the way I dress, very professional. That jacket's a bit out there. And, trying to wear something like that, it was kind of like, try it on. And then I looked at myself in the mirror. I thought, wow, it actually looks pretty good. Then there was still that internal struggle where it's like, oh, would I wear it? Would I not? And, you really sort of encouraged me to be like, if you like it, get it and try it on and wear it. And it's weird. I've worn it a number of times now and now it actually feels me now.
Yeah.
And when I wear it, I don't feel flashy or anything. And yeah, it's got this big sort of fluffy hood and stuff, but I don't feel like an imposter like I did
Yeah.
those first couple of times I wore it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like when you encourage someone to try something that they normally wouldn't wear,
Yeah.
what do you think's actually happening there internally when inside your clients?
Yep. Good. I'm glad that we're leading into this. So we have a place in our brains called the Reticular Activating System. To give you an idea of what this does, and I think Mel Robbins calls it the bouncer of the brain. So it allows information in that it wants to see and knows and is familiar with, and everything else is kind of, blocked out. So in a styling sense, the Reticular Activating System, or RAS for short, when you shopping, and I'm guilty of this. My RAS kicks in all the time when I'm shopping. So For me, my reticular activating system, and I'll use shoes as an example. If I go into a shoe store, I will automatically go to the tan shoes. I have got 50 pairs of tan shoes, or it could be a black dress. Again, 50 black dresses. I'll get it home and I think, oh, I've already got something like that. But it is your brain giving you the familiar route to go to. So you're walking in and you're on auto drive. The RAS is auto drive. But then when someone brings something to your attention, that is now your focus. So like with the jacket, your RAS was, I'm not sure about this. I would never wear something like this. I want straight, casual, very clean, corporate-y, maybe a little bit toned down. And I busted through the bouncer in the door and said, hey, what about this? I've kind of sidelined him. And you have allowed this to then take up some space in your brain. And then it kind of becomes just second nature. And another good example of RAS is, I just bought a new car. It's a GWM. And I had not really seen a GWM. Well, I had, but not in the state that I have. But now that I'm driving one, everyone's got a GWM. And that is my RAS bringing forward the attention of this car now. So I own this car. Now everyone in the world owns this car. Or, it happened when I was pregnant. Never saw a pregnant woman, or very rarely. And then everyone around me was pregnant. So it's just the way that your brain is programmed to allow things in that are familiar. And my job as a stylist is to open up that door to allow different options and opportunities to come through so that you can experiment. I mean, they're not always going to work. I always try and, push the boundary a little bit because I believe that's what people want. They want to have, to try the options. They don't just want to, some people do just want plain and simple, and that's okay. But it's always nice to add some personality. And I think that is ultimately what's going on in the brain. Your reticular activating system is blocking. It's like, no deal. I do not want this fur jacket. But you did it and you look amazing.
Yeah. Thanks, Rosie. I found what was really useful about having you there is it's almost like you give permission for me to be a little bit exploratory. It's like, and that encouragement I think really helps, because if I was just going shopping by myself and I put this jacket on and I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, I don't know. But when I've got you there egging me on, be like, oh my God, that looks so good. It's that little bit of encouragement. I mean, whether you get a stylist like yourself, or you just have a friend or a mate or somebody who can come with you, who, can just give you that little bit of a push to get out of the box. It's great. And I mean, one of the things I've found as well is the clothing. The first time we went shopping, it was just, hey, let's get a new wardrobe because it was a bit dated. And where the second time it was more about, hey, let's get a little bit more wild with this. I God only knows what we're going to get to next time we go shopping. But it seems to be, I'm starting to get a lot more adventurous with the clothing. And it's like, hey, let's try something a bit funner, something a little bit more bold. And one of the things I find is the clothes you wear actually changes almost part of your personality that comes out. So it's like when you're wearing certain clothes, you actually show up way more fun. Like if you're in those bright, bold, out there colors, and I think it's when you see people on holidays wearing the Hawaiian shirt and shorts at the beach, it's almost like it brings out a certain vibe or a certain, so I'd love to know what your thoughts are on sort of clothing and sort of tapping into those parts of ourselves.
Yes. So clothing 100% affects how you show up and the results that you're chasing, or, color can affect mood and so on. So there's a study that's been done, and I'll find the link so that you can link it in your podcast, but it's called Enclothed Cognition. And a university did a study on a group of people. And one group, it was medical students, I think. I'm going back now. I haven't watched it in a couple of years, but it was medical students. And they were sitting an exam. And each group didn't know about each other's group. One group was made to wear lab coats, and the other group was just made to just sit and do their exam normally. The people wearing the lab coats got a far better result on their exam than the people not wearing lab coats, simply because they had this lab coat on that made them feel empowered and like they already had the job. So It's dressing for the thing that you want, the job that you want, the person that you want. That's or showing up for who you want to be. If you think, oh, I want to be some, I don't know, rich person living on Malibu Beach, how would that person dress? What would they drive? How would they speak? All that sort of stuff. So it's about showing up before it actually happens. And then when you're in that state of mind, your brain automatically goes into this motion of feeling, I can do, look at me, I can do this. And the results are 100%, well, not 100%, but definitely higher than if you weren't in the clothing or style or makeup or hair that you started with. So there definitely is science behind clothing and how it can affect an outcome, for sure.
Yeah, I've seen aspects of that in business as well. When you dress the part with the nice suit, like a tailored suit that's really, if you're up on stage and you're wearing a really well put together suit,
Yeah.
it says so much more than just someone standing in a polo and shorts or something like that. There's the authority that it commands is quite amazing to see the difference in that.
Absolutely.
And even things like haircuts as well and simple things like that. It goes really far. Ever since working with you, I've started to see it so much more, and I've started to take a lot more note of those things myself as I've become more aware as well. So I notice people's shoes, I notice what they're wearing, I notice the way that they're groomed a lot more now that I've become conscious of it.
Yeah.
And I think, kind of look back now, I think, God, what were people thinking of me 15 years ago when I was almost intentionally trying to show up like a slob sometimes, because it was this almost righteousness, which is, well, I don't care what people look like. It should be about your character. It should be about who you are internally. And people who care about physical appearances are bad and wrong and shallow and all of this sort of stuff. Yeah. I was so judgmental about people. I was probably more judgmental towards them because I thought they were being judgmental to me. Is that a common belief?
It's changing. It definitely is changing. And I think people do believe that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but people judge people within 7 seconds of meeting them. So within 7 seconds, I have made a judgment about you. I'm not a judgmental person. I don't walk into someone's wardrobe and judge them by their wardrobe. However, if someone is approaching me and they are in tattered clothing, dirty shoes, dirty clothes, haven't washed their hair, my assumption is they're either homeless, they have gone through a rough time, they don't have any money. Vice versa, if I see a female coming towards me, draped in Louis Vuitton, diamonds, hair done, I'm going to assume that she's got money. This is a judgment. This is something that everyone does. It's not judging their character, it's judging what they are. They look like they've got money. He looks homeless, whatever it is. So judgment happens no matter what. We can all say that we're not judgmental. I don't think I am. I really don't. But we are. We are judgmental. We do judge people on appearance. And unfortunately, we live in a world where we do judge a book by its cover. I don't know of an instance where I haven't looked at someone and just thought, okay, you make some kind of judgment about them, like, oh, he hasn't cut his hair, for maybe student, hasn't got much money or whatever it is. There's always something where you just think, in your mind, it's not that you're thinking they're a worse person, but there is definitely judgment there.
Well, I think judgment, it's very similar to, discrimination in a lot of ways. Like, we discriminate against everything. Do you know what I mean? You look at it and make assertions and assumptions.
Yeah.
I think the key is, it's not that judgment or discrimination is necessarily wrong. It's that when you assume that those initial judgments are fact and you don't look deeper. Do you know what I mean? So it's human nature to do those things and to look at the differences between things and just, all right, well, and it's almost like the brain's little shortcut of just putting everything in a box. And it's like, all right, well, if someone looks like this, they're probably this sort of person. When I first reached out to you, at the time I had made this decision. I don't know how to dress myself. My wardrobe's crap. How do I fix this? And I went looking online. I looked up men's fashion stylist Perth, and you actually didn't come up. There was a couple of others that came up at the time. I looked at a few of them and nothing really jumped out at me. And I found like a Reddit post and they're like, oh no, check out this person. And I went to your website. And when I think about why I reached out to you, a large part of it was the way that you appeared. So once again, it's like I'm judging it on that. It's like, okay, this is a pretty looking woman who looks well put together. There's a aura of authority that you have, and she looks fun. If I'm going to go shopping with someone, I want it to be an attractive woman who's taking me through the shops. It really was based off of the way you looked. Like I hadn't, I'd read your site. There was a few things there that sounded interesting. But even in that place, when I'm choosing a business to do business with, I was basing it on the way you looked.
Absolutely.
And that's happening everywhere. Like I sell websites, but are people doing the same thing with me? Do you know what I mean? If I put my photo on my website, is that the same thing? People are thinking, oh, this guy looks friendly. This guy looks professional. This guy looks a certain way. And yeah, I was just really amazed looking back now how much of it was actually even based off of that.
Yeah. Well, I always use the analogy because I get that a lot. It's like, oh, you look really great and you show up, you look like you're fun. And, that's a common feedback that I get before people even engage and, get me to do their wardrobes or whatever. And I always say to them, well, it's like if you were about to hire a PT, a personal trainer, you wouldn't hire a fat personal trainer because you want to look like the person training you. If there's a choice between someone who is ripped, bodybuilder, and a fat person who's also maybe has the same credentials, maybe taken the same amount of people to comp or whatever, you're going to choose the ripped person because you're going to feel more motivated by that person because you can tell that that's how they show up. That's how they're going to train you. And your hope is to kind of look like them. That's what you want. You want to look like the person or help you look better, and you're aiming towards the person that has the experience and shows up in the area that you want to improve. So yeah, I agree. And I always say this to my clients as well. Imagine if I didn't look like this, would you have hired me? I don't think so. If I just showed up with, shitty hair, just whatever, just came out walking the dog and stuck stuff on Instagram, it wouldn't be, I would have no business. So, and people wouldn't trust me. It would just be, it's the trust. It's the start of building trust, how you show up in what you're wearing and how you look.
So when you've worked with someone, what's that sort of moment when they kind of no longer need you and they can kind of do it all on their own?
It kind of happens when we're shopping, I feel like that transition happens. So at the wardrobe edit, most people start off really quite nervous, apprehensive about what the process is going to be. And that is squashed within 5 minutes because it's fun. It's like shopping with a friend. It's like wardrobe. It's like we're talking with a friend. On the shopping trip, by the wardrobe edit, they've already kind of got the grasp of what works in their wardrobe, how to wear their clothes, where the right length should be, all that sort of stuff. And by the time we get to the shop, they know now what I've picked is specifically for their body shape. And that's when they start making the decisions. And it's amazing because at the first couple of outfits, they're kind of, okay, what do you think? And I always say, well, I wouldn't have put it in you. I mean, obviously I am honest. And if I do not think something looks good, I will tell them straight away. But if I do think something looks good, I will be honest. And not long after that, after a few tries, you can see they're making their own decisions. They love how they look. They're loving the outfits. They're loving the new style. And by the end of the shop, they're the ones that are grabbing it. They're the ones that are rolling up their jeans or scratching their blazer arms, or they're the ones that are doing the work over the time that we've spent together. So it's one of the best feelings, and I get goosebumps every time I talk about it because that's the transition. That's when it's happened, when they go, I know what I'm doing now. And then I'll get a couple of selfies. People who hate photographs, I don't want to be on social media, please don't put me. Great, no worries. I will receive photographs from my clients saying, it's okay, you can post this if you like. And it's a complete shift. So they're loving how they look. And it's just, it's one of those goosebump moments. And I just can't believe that I get to be part of that. So I would say the personal shop at the end of the shop is where they really come into their own, and then they can't wait to get home and put their clothes in their wardrobe, and then they're trying on all different things. And I get so many selfies of people that were camera shy, that would have never done this and reluctantly would send me a photo if I'd requested one at the beginning, to just sending me them voluntarily. So it's awesome. The confidence is huge.
Yeah, I've sent you a few selfies here and there.
Yes, I love it.
With
It's awesome.
well, when I yeah, for me it was very much as you described. Like I was a little bit hesitant coming into that wardrobe edit, and then yeah, by the time the shot was finished, I was having a great time, and it was amazing. Like it was actually a really enjoyable few hours. But
Yeah.
what really amazes me is how I can go from having no confidence in dressing myself at all to feeling like I've got more than enough information to feel like
Yeah.
I'm confident to dress myself. Not, and that's like knowing things about pants and jumpers and shoes. I feel like it was like a masterclass, and it was literally like a 2 or 3 hours at the wardrobe edit, and then
Yeah.
a 2 or 3 hour shop.
Yeah.
It's like 6 hours, and I've had 35 years of not knowing any of this, and all it took was
Yeah.
like 6 hours to completely
Yeah.
shift that and change it. It's like
Exactly.
it boggles my mind just how much I got out of those 6 hours.
I love it.
Do you know
It's
what I mean? Like, and
value.
it's
Yeah.
yeah. But the thing is, yeah, I got clothes out of it at the end, but that's not what I really got. Like, it was that confidence to be able to dress yourself is worth way more than the clothes I bought or your, I guess, expertise in pointing out what clothes look good. That confidence just made all the difference. I'd like to move on a little bit from, I guess, the focusing on other people and focus a little bit more on you and your journey, Rosie. So I've been working with you for the last couple of years and seen some massive transformations in your business and really taking on the world, and you've got big vision, big goals. And what I'm interested in is to find out a little bit about, I guess, your business growth journey from thinking, hey, this fashion styling something that I like, to actually getting to where you are now. Like, what's that journey been like?
Yeah. I have always been into styling and fashion, but never been able to afford all the top end brands or, well, actually, not even shopping. I grew up in a very low socioeconomic area, and my parents didn't really have much money. And we have been brought up shopping at the Salvo, shopping at Good Sammy's, and even to the point where we couldn't afford to buy Good Sammy's and we would have to lay by. I didn't even know that they were, like, looking back, and I remember these things and having to lay by. So if I had an outfit, I would always know how to add something to it to make it better, whether that's a belt or an earring or a sunnies or something. And I'd always find a way to elevate an outfit. And I used to do it to my baby brother, who would have been, 5 at the time, and I would be dressing him in girls' clothes. And I've got photos to prove that, much to his dismay. And he would probably be upset with me telling that. But also, just every time I had, even if it was $5, I would find that shop that was having a $5 sale, and I would buy one piece for $5. So I've always known the value of a dollar, and I've always wanted to look different to how everyone else looked. Always knew. Growing up, that was childhood. That kind of went all the way through high school. I've always had friends, Emily, everyone in my circle asking me, "Do you like this?" I've always been sent photos. "Do you like that? I'm a hair and makeup artist as well. So it's sometimes family members will come to me and say, "Can you sort me out for this dinner dance or for this ball or whatever?" So we would do dress, hair, makeup. It would be a full transformation. So I've always done it. And then someone sent me a link to the Australian Style Institute, which is where I became certified. And that journey happened in 2019. In 2018, my father passed away. He died from cancer, bowel cancer, which, yeah, that's a whole other story. And when he died, that made me realize that, and he lived his life in a lot of regret, and he was an absolute genius. Every single thing he touched, it just turned to gold. He was so smart, but self-doubt crippled him, and he never fulfilled any particular goal that he could have. He was an incredible photographer, mechanic. He got his pilot's license, a lecturer at university, you name it, he did it. A carpenter. Half the furniture in my house is built by my dad. But he never took it to the next level, and he always lived his life in regret. And when he passed away, and I had my daughter already, I thought, I don't want my daughter looking at me the same way that I look at my dad. I want her to look at me and say, she gave it everything she had. And, both my husband and daughter have seen me through, lows and highs. And once I became certified, it's been a slow crawl. to become where I am today and make it my full-time job. It's always been a side hustle. So it's always been something that has been there, and I've styled clients since 2020. I finished my course in 2019, started styling in 2020. And, clients here, there, but never a steady stream. At the end of last year, no, we're in 2026 now. At the end of 2024, I decided I was in a job, an office job, which was my other thing that I did. And I'm great. I'm good at it. I'm a good administrator, but I didn't love it. I didn't wake up every day going, yes, I'm going to do data entry. Like it was just not my thing. And I would literally sit there and feel myself, my time being wasted. It was slipping away. And it was at that moment that I decided I'm going to go all in. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to give this everything that I have got and just see where it takes me. I gave myself a year, which was 2025. I gave it a year. And I'm very lucky that I have a husband who is the most supportive person, kindest, respectful, and will invest 100% in me. And he's always said that to me. And the other person I'd like to acknowledge is yourself, Ben, because when I decided to do this, you were one of the first people to really, from an outsider perspective, I've got my close circle, but from an outsider perspective, to put your hand up and say, I think I can help you. And what you've done for me in the past year is, how I feel about you. I've told you this in private, but you have literally changed my life in a way that I never thought, and this is a dream, I just never thought I'd ever have, to have this as my full-time job. So styling as a business, having my weeks booked solid with clients. And that's thanks to you, because you've helped me with my website, you've helped me with ads, things that even when watching you do them, blow my mind. I just think there is not a chance in hell, and I wouldn't even know what to ask someone. I'm pretty self-sufficient. I built the website to what it was before. I had a website designer help me, but you changed all that. You have quite literally changed my life. So, at the end, what you've done for me has really launched me into where I am now. And the next steps will be the growth phase. The stylish agency has reached capacity, which is something I never thought I'd ever say, ever. And now we're at the growth stage and growing for the sake of, not just growing for the sake of making money and let's just go, but growing organically and making it a business that just feels sustainable for me and for my family. So that's pretty much it. I think that was a really long answer, but yeah, I've always been a stylist, whether that's a child stylist, my brother, or actually a professional stylist. And getting paid to do this is like a dream. And I feel like I'm one of those rare people that are actually being paid to live out their passion. I get to shop. I get paid to shop. Like that is something, that's what dreams are made of. It's literally what dreams are made of. So I love it. And it's a job that I do not ever get up and say, I have to work today.
Yeah.
It's never happened. So yeah, I feel very grateful and very blessed for the position that I'm in and the people that have supported me to get to this point, including yourself. So thank you.
Yeah, no, well, you're welcome. And to that point with, I guess assisting you with your growth, I see that so often with businesses where people have these incredible skills. They've got this incredible potential and they see their potential. And what's lacking is generally they're just not exposed to the opportunities. And if people discovered them, it's like a no-brainer. This person should be huge. These guys should be booked out nonstop, because there's plenty of crappy people out there doing a bad job. But if they've got the exposure, they're getting busy. And it's so effortless for me to do those things. And like you can see, it's made a massive difference in your life. But to the same token, like I said, those 6 hours with you drastically, shifted my life in quite a positive way. Like I got a sense of confidence back that allowed me to really go out there and feel genuinely me. And that's brought me back to my fiance, that brought our relationship back together. And just the difference that this shift inside of me will make to my entire life is going to be drastic. So, I know I've helped you out a lot, but it really does go two ways. I'm interested going back to that moment when you said you're going all in.
Yeah.
I'm sure that really took something. And there was probably something in the way, but like what was in the way, first of all? What was that obstacle? And what had to shift or move to actually get you to say, you know what, I'm going to stop this job and pursue this full time?
Getting out of my own way is probably so. I mean, obviously, we've only got ourselves to blame. So I am a very independent woman, and I do not want, a guy to support me and whatever. And yes, Ziggy's my husband and all that sort of stuff. But he had always said to me, anytime you're ready, anytime, you just say the word and you just do what you need to do, and I will support you. Me as an independent woman didn't want to not share the money coming in, so the financial contribution. So that was a huge block for me. Being able to, so at the beginning of last year when I started this journey, I really felt this sense of like I wasn't contributing. And that didn't come from anyone else but me. He never made me feel like that. He never made me feel like I wasn't doing enough. And that was all me. So once I got out of my head about that, things just kind of started to work. I just kind of went, right, I'm going to go all in, because it was taking up a lot of brain capacity. How am I going to get money? And it was very money focused rather than a business focus and getting clients. So yeah, I feel like once I removed that block of finances, which is huge, and I get not everyone is in my position to have someone support them as they go through this business entrepreneurship, but I feel that was my biggest block. And then overcoming my self-doubt that I could actually run a business full-time. Could I do this? That imposter syndrome. And still sometimes now, after I've had a client or we've done, and I have those pinch me moments where I think, how is this happening? How am I able to do this? And it's just being able to acknowledge, well, why can't I? Of course
Yeah.
I can. Like, I am worth all of this and more. And I've created this. And it's because of the relationships that I've built and I've cultivated that my life is the way that it is. So, the law of attraction, you are a reflection of who you are. Like, who you give out to the world is what you're giving back. So I feel like everything that's happened to me is a reflection of the person that I am and what I give out to the world. So I think financially that was a block, and the self-doubt and not feeling I was worthy enough to have a business and valuable enough to have a business of my own. And those beliefs have now gone. Yes, definitely they come in. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Everyone has that bit of self-doubt, but for the most part, I am very self-aware now of my thoughts. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that and really catch them and think, is this a true thought? And I'm able to do that now and able to stop the spiral of going down. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned you just needed to get out of your own head. Now, that sounds a lot easier said than done. What helped you actually get out of your own head?
Yeah. So there is a technique that I heard, and it's very simple. So when it comes to therapy and things like that, I need very simple analogies. So I need to be able to picture what is going on. And I listened to a neuroscience by the name of Dr. Daniel Amen. And Dr. Daniel Amen talks about, he uses the acronym ANTS. And when his clients come in, and so ANTS is an acronym for automatic negative thoughts. And when his clients come in to see him, he has a can of fly spray sitting on his coffee table just to remind them that these automatic negative thoughts that are coming in are not necessarily true. You really need to question your thought. So whatever that negative thought is, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough to be in this room, I shouldn't be earning this much money, my prices, I can't put my prices up. Whatever the question is and the thought that you're having about that question, stop and ask yourself, is that true? Am I really not worth it? Because most of the time, the answer is no, and your thoughts are bullshit. So it's having, and I think about the ants all the time. So the ants are coming, right? The ants always come. They're always everywhere. So it's about getting that fly spray and spraying the fly spray away and going, it's automatic. Like, I'm thinking this automatically, but they're not actually true. The thoughts are not true. And yeah, believing your own thoughts is a killer sometimes, because imagine if you believed every thought you had. It's just, and that's why people are depressed and anxious, because they are believing those thoughts. A thought is a thought. It goes, it comes and goes. It does not stay. So it's how much emphasis and power you want to give that thought.
I love that. I've never actually heard of that, ants. It's such a powerful way to look at it as well. I like that.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a simple metaphor. I mean, nobody likes ants anyway. So the
Yeah.
idea of having the
Yeah.
bug spray and
Yeah.
there's just millions of them. So I kind of look at it. Yeah, you just sort of picture that picnic basket and all the ants coming in. Is there anything you'd like to explore a little bit more, or any questions you want to dive into a little bit deeper?
So when you become a different version of yourself, what do you think people struggle with the most to let go of? Like, is there an old version of themselves that they struggle to let go of?
What I've found with me as I've gone through these iterations of success, at each sort of new plateau that you reach, you look back at your life and, you've got your old goals. And I think what I struggle with it a lot of the times is you get there and it doesn't feel like the end of the race, like you thought it would a lot of the times. And what I found happens in myself is I actually start to feel almost bad about the fact that I'm not satisfied with the current new status quo. It's like, okay, when my business earns, $150,000 a year, all my problems will be solved. And then you get there and you're just like, wow, there's new problems and it's not the way I thought it would be. And then, you have to almost build a new goal to get to. And there always seems to be this bigger mountain to get to. I think as you're making that journey and you're going to these bigger peaks in life, I've learned to stop expecting the destination to feel the way you think it will. And I think a lot of the enjoyment and fulfillment comes from the journey. And know that when you reach the peak, there's going to be that next peak and there's going to be that next peak. But the actual things you've got to let go of, I think sometimes, is that expectation of what it's supposed to be like and what it's supposed to look like. And like you set all these goals, but the goals never really become real in the way that you would expect them to. There's aspects of them, but the experience never really flows the way you imagined it to. And you can fantasize about how that moment's going to go and you can visualize it and it's going to look a certain way. But if you get attached to that outcome, looking and feeling exactly like your fantasy, you actually rob yourself of actually being in the moment, experiencing life exactly as it is in that moment. Because whether everything's great in that moment or there's problems and struggles and all sorts of other stuff, the moment is the moment. And it's only going to be there once. So you can't change it by thinking it's going to be different. So I think a much better way to do is to have those expectations to drive yourself and, set yourself with high standards and commitments. But you've got to also be really open to just in those moments being as present as you can be to let the moment land.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. Being in the moment is such a huge, important thing, but sometimes hard to do.
Definitely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
find that I think I heard the saying once that all upsets are just unfulfilled expectations. So anytime that you feel upset about anything, you expected one thing to happen and it didn't go that way. Even something as simple as, "Oh, I'm sick today. I woke up with a sore throat." The expectation was you were going to wake up and the throat was going to be good.
Not so.
So you feel upset simply because of that. And you don't want to say, "Oh, I have no expectations about anything and I'm just going to go through life doing nothing." But yeah, it's that attachment to the expectation happening that will always put you in a state of upset.
Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it, actually. I've not heard that before, but it is it's real. That's reality. It's when something doesn't go right. It's when you've expected it and it hasn't. So yeah, I
Yeah,
like that.
and then you can just explore if you're feeling upset or what expectation did I have that didn't get fulfilled, and then you can generally say, okay, well, why did I expect that to happen? And then you can do a bit of a reality check and hopefully change that expectation. I use it sometimes because sometimes I get into my head and I'm like ruminating over some bullshit thing that doesn't really matter. Like, especially in an interaction where I said this and I was expecting you to say this thing back and you said something different and now I feel very invalidated. But then if I actually step back, it's like, okay, well, I said what I said. They said what they said. It is what it is. The only reason I feel upset is I thought they were going to say something different. And then if you can let go of that expectation, you can then just get on with your night and not sit there and
100%.
ruminate and think about it. So
100. Yeah. 100%. I could not agree with you more. Yeah.
if people are interested in what you do and they want to learn more about Stylish Agency or maybe just follow your content to hear a little bit more about you, where can they find you?
Yeah. So you can find me on my amazing website that was built by Ben at Bold Blue, and it is fantastic. So all my packages and everything are online on my website at stylish.agency and on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and LinkedIn and all those places. So my main place is Instagram and Facebook. If you want to see some fun videos and hear some truths and get some style tips and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
All right, beautiful. Thank you for your time today, Rosie. Take care.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries. Bye.
Bye.